Yo, what's going on, everybody? We are missing a sound effect. Hold on. There we go.
Woo! Party people, how you feeling?
And I forgot to tweet. Hold on. Let's do a podcast. I know how to type, people. YouTube.com. So I even know my YouTube address. It's nope, that's not how you spell juggernaut. Holy crap, what a night. There. Okay. Welcome in. Holy moly. For those of you that are about to watch this live, A, thank you for being here, and B, congratulations. It is 9:15 p.m. here on the Pacific Coast. So for some of you, this episode is happening on Saturday. If you are in Oceania, it's deep into Saturday. So yeah, hi. This is whatever. This is late, but we're good to go. On tonight's podcast, we are talking about a ton of different things. And I apologize if you are, again, watching live. I keep staring down at things because nothing that my setup is supposed to have actually is here. So I'm like, pieces are missing. This is fun. On tonight's episode, we are covering a lot of bases in the gaming world. We are all over the place, and this is almost entirely about gaming. It is not about streaming. In fact, there is no streaming content at all tonight. So if you are just here for gaming stuff, congratulations. Tonight is your night. I decided that we are not going to cover YouTube VidCon because for the most part, there was not a ton of really like big announcements. I will cover them probably next week with our special guest host that I'll announce later. Yay! But we're not going to cover that tonight. So VidCon is over. Yes, YouTube had their wonderful VidCon in Anaheim. But tonight we're going to be covering a lot of stuff in gaming itself. And we want to get started with this stuff as fast as we possibly can. So tonight's episode, as you can see on screen, we are covering many things. And yes, the Ghost of Tsushima logo is up on the screen because we are going to be talking about that, but not necessarily for the reason you might think. We're also going to be talking about Red Dead. We're going to be talking about Star Citizen. We're going to be talking about Pokemon Go. We're going to be talking about Sony. We're going to be talking about Five Nights at Freddy. Like all the gaming stuff, again, all over the place. So welcome in. Let's get right down to it. We will start with the very first topic of the night, and that is Red Dead Redemption. Why are we talking about Red Dead Redemption? Well, an interesting thing happened in the world of Red Dead. Typically, not always, but typically what occurred with Red Dead signifies something. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to bring up, I want to show you, not that, there it is. Okay, so what happened was this, and like I said, this typically means something. Red Dead Redemption might be getting a re-release. Why do people think that? Rockstar has been very public with the fact that they are done with Red Dead for now. They have said that they're really not going to update it. They're basically ignoring all the reports. So they're like, yeah, this is kind of we're done with this. We're moving forward with what they haven't said is GTA 6. We all know it's GTA 6, but whatever. So people think that there's going to be a re-release because the Game Rating and Administration of Korea, aka the South Korean rating company or rating agency, has re-rated Red Dead Redemption 1. Why? Let me bring up, I will bring this up on the screen so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Granted, this is in Korean, so you all have to live with this, but this very first entry here at the bottom that says Red Dead Redemption, not Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption was re-rated on June 15th of 2023. What that usually means in gaming, and for whatever reason, maybe it's part of the regulations in Korea. We don't know. At least I don't know. If they're going to re-release something, the rating agency wants to get a new crack at it. They're going to take a fresh look at it and say, oh, maybe this needs to be re-rated, and we want to make sure that our consumers understand what's coming. If it's not a re-release, so maybe they've remastered it, maybe they've completely done maybe they're going to port it. So who knows? whatever's going to happen, something prompted the Korean rating agency to take a fresh look at this and re-rate it. Why would they do that with an old game? There's got to be something there. I don't buy into conspiracy theories. I think that stuff is typically garbage, and I think people love to make clickbait headlines. But in this case, there is something going on because there is no reason whatsoever for the Koreans to re-rate this game. Something's got to be happening with it. Now, one of the problems with this is that let's say we're right. Let's say that this is going to get re-released and all the hype is about something real. The problem is it might only happen in Korea. For whatever reason, maybe there's a legal issue. Maybe somebody filed some sort of like a trademark claim or some sort of a takedown note. Who knows? Somebody filed something in Korea that is prompting the Koreans to then say, we're going to have to re-release this game. So maybe Rockstar is like, this is only going to affect Korea, so we got to re-release it in Korea, so we've got to re-rate it, blah, 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 blah. If that's the problem, sucks for the rest of us. It's like, damn, we would like a re-release. People have been talking for a while about maybe it's going to get ported. Maybe they'll make a PC version, which, for those of you in the Papa Jug community already, if you're in the PJ Party, you know that I have never played Red Dead 1. Ever. If they were to port Red Dead 1 to PC, let me make a couple of promises. 1, many of you will be excited. 2, I will play it. All right? I will stream it. I will create content for it. I will have a great time with all of you, and I will be very, very glad to do that. So there's 2 promises if they were to port Red Dead over to PC. There's that. Hopefully this isn't just something in Korea. Maybe I'll just get a Korean version and I'll just play the Korean version. That'd be interesting. I don't know how it would work, but whatever. We'll give it a shot. John Marston's John Marston. Whatever. I would like to see the next step in the story. I would like to see where John Marston and Abigail and Jack and like all those parts, all the different elements of that story. I'd like to see where that goes. But I can't because it's on console and I'm only a PC gamer. Now, I do have an Xbox, but whatever. That doesn't really help us, does it? No, it doesn't. So, anyways, so maybe something to look forward to. We are taking a look at things. We're going to keep following the trends in the news and see what's going on. There is a possibility that Red Dead Redemption is getting some sort of a remaster, re-release, something. We don't know, but we are going to be following that along. Okay. There's that. Let's move on. That's not what I meant to push. That's what I meant to push. We're going to press forward with our second topic of the night, and that is Niantic, aka the makers of Pokemon Go, the only game that people care about from Niantic. Small problem. Niantic is not managed well. Niantic has been making some very, very terrible decisions lately with regards to paywalls. They had their new, what was that new game per Picadot? Not Polkadot. What the fuck was it called? Piccadilly Peridot? I think it's Peridot. Yeah, let's go with Peridot. Niantic has their new game Peridot. It has been pretty much a financial failure. I think as of 2 weeks ago, it had only registered about 1.4 million in downloads. Revenue purchases. Not doing great. It has been a big loser for Niantic. Basically, the lightning that struck with Pokemon Go has never repeated itself yet. The sad thing is they are now laying off more than 200 employees. Why are we talking about this? A, because a whole bunch of people just lost their job in the gaming industry, which, again, sadly, not unusual right now. Pretty much every studio has laid off lots and lots of people. Niantic has been a particularly big hit. Again, they've only really got Pokemon Go that keeps them afloat. Like I said, they've laid off now over 200 people, some of them even coming from the Pokemon franchise, but they're canceling their Marvel title. They're canceling their NBA title. All of these things are going away because the teams are gone. That sucks. So those teams are vanishing, and so are those games. Now, what they have said is that they are going to keep their priority is the Pokemon Go franchise. They want to keep that thing going. That poses a couple of problems. One, all the eggs in one basket. Pretty much everybody in the world tells you that that's a bad strategy for anything. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It seems like Niantic is in such bad shape that they are now doing that. They're doing the thing that you were never supposed to do. Oops, maybe stop. That's one problem. The other problem is, and this is what brought it to my attention, I have been in the business world for 20 plus years. The way that they phrased this really, really bothered me from a professional and personal standpoint. I'm going to bring it up on screen. That way we can all read it. For those of you who are watching live, let me go get our friends over at Pokemon Go. There it is. In an internal email sent to employees today and acquired by Kotaku, company founder John Hanke explained that this decision came because the studio's, quote, expenses grew faster than revenue. Now, the full sentence is expenses and related headcount. I fully understand and I can respect that companies occasionally have to lay off employees. That's not news, it's not evil, it's something that companies have to do. It is better to employ some people than nobody. And if you have too many people, it gets expensive and you could go out of business. That's a very good pathway to bankruptcy. I get that. I'm not criticizing somebody for layoffs. My problem is that the CEO in this email, throughout this email, in more than one instance, referred to expenses and headcount. That sucks all of the life, all of the emotion, all of the humanity out of this very unfortunate thing that he has to do. And it is him. He has to make that decision. I'm going to cut 25% of his workforce. I have to cut this many people from the company. That's harsh. It's unpleasant. I get that. But when you refer to people, when you refer to a human being who has literally made the product that is going to make you money or has made you money, and you refer to them as expenses and headcount, no, that is not acceptable. That is unprofessional, rude, inconsiderate, insulting, demeaning. It bugged me when I read it. And he goes on and he talks about how, they hired a whole bunch of people during the pandemic because everybody was at home and they were all playing Pokemon Go and da-da-da-da. And they talk about the fact that the game is still focusing on and truly believes in the future of augmented reality. They believe that AR is the future of mobile gaming. That's where they want to continue their focus, etc. All right, I'm fine with all that. You don't have the privilege of referring to people who you just fired as expenses and headcount. I'm just that it just bugged me, and I think that for any of you who are aware of this, that I would assume it bugs you too. This is not something that any of us likes to do, is either getting laid off or laying off people. But I think that this speaks to, again, sort of the unfortunately cold culture of game development within studios is that people are just people. And people are just expenses. They're not really valued for their contributions because it is such a bloodthirsty, competitive, really kind of just backstabbing, vicious industry. And I think that bleeds into so many parts of it too often. There are places where, let's be honest. If one game studio, like right now, you want to talk about like really vicious people, Sony versus Microsoft. You want to talk about that issue again? No, I really don't. But that's a great example where you are talking about millions of dollars being spent just on legal fees to fight over this issue and to be competitive and to really keep your enemy in place as best you can. I think that vibe so often, because this is so competitive, and it's the last number I saw was something like, I want to say $300 billion industry is gaming right now. The gaming industry, just video games. The video gaming industry is like 300 billion. Maybe it's a half a trillion. Maybe it's 500. I forget what it is. I want to say 300 sounds more like what I remember. $300 billion. That's nuts. Like Pokemon Go made 100 billion last year alone. Like there's so much money, and I think that it just gets ugly. And I think that companies need to keep in mind from both an HR perspective, but also from just a human, not a human resources, but just a human perspective. Your people, your staff, your lifeblood of creation is not an expense. They are an investment. And that's how they need to be referred to. That is how they need to be thought of. That is how they need to be treated. This is an investment in somebody's passion and creativity and ideas and experience. And when you refer to them as expenses and related headcount, I think that sucks. So, I would like to know what all of you think. Of course, that's true for all of our topics, but I would love to know what all of you think. If you are live or watching the VOD on YouTube, put the comment down below. What do you think of Niantic's attitude? What do you think of the attitude in gaming? What do you think of how devs are treated? Things like that. And if not, then you are welcome to DM me. You are welcome to post it on social media because the episodes do get shared on all of my social channels. You are welcome to join the Discord, but I would love to have a conversation with you all about this because everybody has a different perspective based on your own experiences. Maybe you have been an employee who was laid off in something like this. Maybe you are an executive who's had to do layoffs like this. I would love to know what that's like. In chat, Niantic has been bad taste lately. Yeah. They've put a lot of things behind paywalls. Even with that new game Peridot, in order to hatch one of your eggs, you have to actually pay $5. You have to buy a $5 item. Like you really can't even play the game unless you pay for stuff. So I don't disagree with that. Kind of bad taste lately. I get that. So let's move on to how I manage things. There we go. We are going to take a look at the new trailer for Freddy Fazbear's. It's Five Nights at Freddy's, but it is the new movie from Blumhouse. The CEO, founder of Blumhouse, he has done multiple interviews now where he's talking about the movie. A lot of people told him not to do it. A lot of people said this is not a good idea. We should not be investing our serious horror credentials at Blumhouse. We should not be lending credibility to a video game title. And I will tell you, I don't care a whole lot about Five Nights at Freddy's. Stuff like that doesn't like jump scare me. I'm just like, oh, look, there's this creepy animal or whatever. Like I could really care less. My son loves it. Carlo BTW Live loves Five Nights at Freddy's, has played that thing for years, has been a big fan of the title. So when it came out, I did watch the trailer, which we're going to do right now. I'm going to switch over to that trailer so that we can watch it, and hopefully the audio doesn't suck. So, yep, here we go. Did I screw that up? No, I did not. Okay. Let's watch Five Nights at Freddy's, and we should get good audio from this. Yeah.
Hi, this is Mike. I was just calling to see if that job that you offered was still available.
Yes. The security guard.
I will take anything.
Wait. We gotta, okay, so I'm gonna go back. Hey, guys, so if you're watching me live, first of all, the person making the phone call, Mike or whatever, that's PETA. That's PETA from Hunger Games. I was like, I didn't know he was in this. That's kind of weird. I'm glad he's still acting because a lot of the supporting actors for huge franchises tend to go away. So it's nice that, I mean, he's done quite a few projects since then. I know that. I'm not discrediting either his career or his acting skills. But I had no idea he was connected to the project. So there's that. And then it immediately flips over to
Still available.
The guy that he calls. Can somebody confirm for me, is this Matthew Lillard? Like, it looks like Matthew Lillard, but I have a feeling it's not Matthew Lillard. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. But, I mean, if it is, perfect casting. Matthew Lillard should absolutely be in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. But B, he can do the creepy. Like, that would be so cool. And the guy on the video, like, taking this phone call, it's got the creepy. So anyways, we'll keep watching. I will stop interrupting, I think. But I just thought when I saw those two faces, like, that's pretty cool. Nice drop.
Yes. The security guard.
I will take anything.
From
This place
Blumhouse.
was huge in the 80s with the kids. They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
I will work and you will sleep.
I understand.
He brought his daughter. It looks like she's about 10.
All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitor.
The producer of Megan.
Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's, where fantasy and fun come to life.
What is her name? I can't remember.
You must be new security guard.
By the way, any movie that Matthew Lillard is in, if that's Matthew Lillard, and I think it is, I'm honestly excited about that. Yes, me too, chat. If Matthew Lillard is in a movie and it is dark and it's raining and somebody shows up in a really thick poncho, that's the end of the movie. If there was a black person, they'd be dead in 4 minutes. This is bad. Like, that's the warning sign. That's the leave now, leave now. That's terrible. And here we are, dark, raining, and somebody's got a big old poncho on. Yeah.
Can I help you, officer?
Have you met them yet?
Met who?
Them.
Yeah, you can't sleep on the job.
In the 80s, kids went missing. The police searched Freddy's top to bottom.
Hello?
They never found them. That's why the place shut down.
There are ghost children possessing giant robots. Thanks for the heads up.
Technically, they're animatronics.
He said technically they're animatronics.
They want to make her like them.
Abby! Tell me how to stop them.
It's too late.
Robbie, go! Where to?
YouTuber.
Always get the weirdos.
YouTuber. Anyways. All right. So there you go. Now, for those of you who don't know, that movie was originally, when Blumhouse took it over, originally it was intended to be directed by Chris Columbus. Yes, that Chris Columbus from Batman, from Harry Potter. Yeah, that guy. Oh, sorry, that was Chris Nolan. My bad. Chris Nolan was Batman. Screw it. Harry Potter. So yeah, it was supposed to be that. Turns out not going to be. And it ended up going to Emma Tammy, and it looks like she's done a pretty good job. Again, I'm not interested in the horror stuff because it doesn't do anything for me. I really don't react to it. But I will definitely probably maybe take my son to see this if he's really well behaved. And we will go check out some Five Nights at Freddy's. But I think it looks, the trailer itself looked pretty good. I'm kind of stoked about the trailer. It looks so not corny. I think I would have been one of those guys telling Blumhouse or Bloom, don't do this. Maybe don't do this. This is going to be stupid. There's no way to make this entertaining. The trailer makes it look like they did a hell of a job. So I say good for them, but we'll see what happens with it. It comes out October 27th, if my memory serves correctly. So it will be a fun Halloween scary flick. Moving right along. We are going to check out a thing that's not working. Why is that not working? Turn off. Wait, what the hell? What happened to the thing? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, hold on. I broke something. I'm a genius. Where is it? Oh, that's how I did it in the wrong order. Okay. Sorry, guys. Next thing I wanted to talk about was something that came out, just kind of a fun side story. Some game developers have confirmed what we all have known to be true. All of us. We've all known this. It has been an urban legend forever. It's been rumored and memed and all of that. Loading bars are meaningless. It is true. Devs have confirmed it. Loading bars in pretty much every piece of software have been garbage. The reason that they're put, and I will actually bring this up so that we can all see together. Jug isn't just making this up. So this is a headline from Games Radar. Indie game devs confirm that loading bars are totally fake. It's true. So somebody posted on Reddit, where did it go? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, game developers, comedian Alasdair Beckett-King joked that game developers need to invent a loading bar that moves at an even speed. Once that's done, they can start working on graphics and jumping, etc. Funny, ha ha ha, we get it. Loading bars are weird. However, devs have since replied, and they are confirming that this is intentional and they mean nothing. Indie developer Mike Bithell noted that while Beckett-King was joking, the reality is that, quote, players don't trust a smooth loading bar, unquote. Apparently, the stutters and pauses show you that the game is, quote unquote, biting. He goes on to say that he's faked that effect in previous games, and he's not the only one. We know this is fake. It doesn't have any connection to reality because they load at different speeds in different ways at different times. Some of them are even AI generated now just to be random. So it makes us all feel better about the suspicions that we've had. Loading bars are fake. Don't trust them. There's other data in the back end that's actually doing things. The loading bar is there to make you feel better. It's kind of like the TSA at the airports. It's just there to make you feel better. It doesn't do anything. It hasn't stopped any planes from crashing. It's been around for 20 years now. Let's all move on in life. There was more. Let's see. It was Rami Ismail chimed in to say, quote, we faked loading bars, extended loading times, or artificially made loading bars move at uneven speeds. Don't think I've ever coded a straight up correct loading bar. In response to those tweets, dozens of devs have come forth to detail their own strategies. Quote, my favorite comes from one dev who says that on one of their games, the loading bar would get stuck at 10%, even when the game was loading correctly. To fix that, they simply told the bar to creep forward gradually until the program took back traditional control around the 90% mark. They just make this crap up. Let's just have fun with it. Yes, I understand, chat. You've known this forever. We've all known this forever. It's just nice when the suspicions are confirmed. We like the confirmations, and it's fun stuff to talk about on a podcast. So there's that. I had to share that because I was just like, yes, we need more devs admitting when stuff is completely for psych reasons. If that's what if you're doing it just to make the player experience better, be proud of that. I'm okay that the loading bar is a lie. I'm okay that the loading bar is purely there to make my brain think better. Cool. It's fun. Just tell me that. It's even fun if you tell me that. Flat out, come on. Dear Star Citizen, okay? If you are Cloud Imperium Games, your loading bar is weird. All it does is bounce back and forth. Tell us what it's doing. We would feel better about it, but we all have Star Citizen trauma anyway, so life will go on for us. So now we're going to go to Sharpie. This is in the episode title. This is in the description. This was in the promo. This is in the Discord mentions. The show preview. If you are in the PJParty Discord, the show preview goes live long before the show does, just so that our Discord members can see what's coming up. They're the only ones that get to see it, by the way, so you should join the Discord. Sharpie is mentioned there. Why are we talking about Sharpie? I flat out told you at the beginning of this episode that this is all about gaming. Why are we talking about Sharpie? It's real simple. Sharpie has cost Sony potentially millions, if not billions of dollars. How, you ask? I will explain how. So let me bring back the browser because this needs to come from facts. Okay? This is from The Verge. Sony's confidential PlayStation secrets just spilled because of a Sharpie. This has been happening with legal documents now for a few years. Here's what happens. When you file something with the court, if parts of it have to or you request them to be redacted, When that redaction happens, what some people do, and they should stop doing this, is they will take a black Sharpie pen and they will start literally Sharpieing over the information that is supposed to get redacted. Okay, it seems logical. Here's the thing. For those of you who are familiar with how scanners work, you may hand a stack of papers over to the court. The court has to then digitally record it. The court has to scan it. What happens with a scanner? Oh, that's right. A big bright light flashes across the paper. Guess what light does with Sharpie? Goes fucking right through it. So now you can see what's behind the Sharpie. It happened to Sony. How Sony's legal team does not know about this, and I mean, flat out, they should ban Sharpies from the paralegals' desks. Be like, great, no one here is allowed to have a black Sharpie ever. Don't touch them, don't look at them, don't think about them. No. Okay. It gets so much worse. So, we talked earlier about the battle between Sony and Microsoft. It's still a thing. The FTC, however, I will let everybody know, if you are interested in where this is progressing in America, in our legal system and in our regulatory system, the Federal Trade Commission, which is having their big hearings on whether or not to allow Microsoft to buy Activision Blizzard, that concluded, I think, yesterday. So all of those hearings are done. All we have now is to wait for the decision. It's an interesting moment. We're going to see what happens. So let's talk about where my mouse went. There it is. So here's the deal. It looks like someone redacted the documents with a black Sharpie. This was documents that included redacted details on the margins that Sony shares with publishers. It's Call of Duty revenues and even the cost of developing some of the games. These are closely guarded secrets in the gaming world. Sony was just betrayed by the black Sharpie plus the scanner. So let's see what was revealed. Now here's a scan on screen of how this comes through when you get the digital files. Okay, so it's been scanned. You have to interpret what you're looking at because it's not always, it's almost never crystal clear. Sometimes it's real easy to figure out. Other times it's like, is that an 8? Is that a 3? Is that a 4? Is that a 1? Is that a 7? You got to sort this stuff out. But here, for example, the court scrambled to remove the document, but the damage is done. Reporters and Sony's competition have already downloaded all the documents while they were in the public domain. Among other things, the document shows that Horizon Forbidden West apparently cost $212 million over 5 years with 300 employees to make. The Last of Us Part 2, it cost $220 million with 200 employees to make. All of a sudden, we know what these games cost to the dollar, or to the $1 million, I guess. It's not just how much games cost to make that's been revealed either. Sony says, now this is interesting. If you are especially if you're a PlayStation gamer or owner, you've got to listen to this. Sony says 1 million PlayStation gamers play nothing but Call of Duty. 1 million PlayStation owners, the only game they touch on that console is Call of Duty. That's a pretty dedicated audience. Like if you're a content creator for that's a really good audience to grab because they are loyal. The only thing they will touch is Call of Duty. Interesting. In 2021, over what looks like it says 14 million users spent 30% or more of their time playing of Call of Duty. So 1 million only play Call of Duty. Approximately 14 million users spent 30% or more of their time playing Call of Duty. 6 million users spent more than 70% of their time on Call of Duty, and the 1 million spent 100% of their time on Call of Duty. Also in 2021, Call of Duty players spent an average of 116 hours a year playing Call of Duty. That number surprised me. I was not expecting it to be that low, especially when you've got 1 million people that play only COD. Like, it's like, whoa, okay, there must be a lot of time in that. Okay, but Call of Duty players spent an average of 116 hours a year. That's not much. Like, what is that, 2 hours a week? Ish? That's not a ton. Like, I really expected that number to be higher. But whatever. Call of Duty players spending more than 70% of time on their spending more than 70% of their time on Call of Duty spent an average of 296 hours on the franchise. So I think my extrapolation of this data would be that the hardcore dedicated players are skewing the numbers up, which is even more disappointing. So like they're pulling the graph a little bit to the right, but not a ton. At least not enough that it impressed me. So whatever. Sony supplied this information in an attempt to show that its revenues would be heavily impacted if Call of Duty was an Xbox exclusive. That's been one of Sony's claims throughout this entire case, is that if Microsoft owns Call of Duty, Microsoft will remove it from PlayStation because they don't want their competitor to have that title anymore, and they will make it an Xbox exclusive. As strange as this sounds, I actually believe Microsoft when they say they won't do that. They've told the courts, they've told all the regulatory agencies, they've said this around the world. They said, no, we're not going to do that. And Sony's like, yes, you will. Yes, you will. And to Sony's credit, if the deal goes through, nothing can stop Microsoft from doing it. They could have told everybody whatever the hell they wanted. They could lie, but that's a whole different problem. Let's see. So what would the impact be if Call of Duty became an Xbox exclusive? Well, we already knew the figure was over $1 billion. So Call of Duty is worth over $1 billion to Sony. However, the document suggests that Call of Duty was worth $800 million for PlayStation revenue just in the US and just in the year 2021. That's a lot of money. All of the other sales, all of the other countries, all of the other years, it was $800 million just in the US and just in that year. Now, here's the interesting part. Think about what I told you at the beginning of this episode. When we were talking about Niantic, what did I say Pokemon Go was worth? That's right. Pokemon Go sold $1 billion a year. Call of Duty is behind Pokemon Go. Like that just, boom, that just blew my mind. I was thinking, okay, are you telling me Pokemon Go is more valuable per year than COD? Seriously? In the US anyway. Like that is unbelievable. Oh no, I take it back because Niantic could be pulling in Japanese data from that. No, it still impresses me. That number for Pokemon Go still impresses me. But anyways, the document suggests that Call of Duty was worth $800 million for PlayStation revenue in just the US during 2021. We think, if you try to read this, like I said, some of the numbers are not perfect. We think the document says that it was $1.5 billion globally. Again, Pokemon Go still impresses me with that. And that's just this game alone when you count the accessories, subscriptions, and everything else, which then jumps to $15.9 billion a year. Holy woo! $15.9 billion per year just from the one title. This is why Sony is spending so much money fighting this takeover, because they know they're going to get screwed one way or another. They're going to lose a chunk of that money. And they're like, hey, if it costs us $1 billion in legal fees, spend it. We don't care. We have to protect this title. And it just, I mean, the numbers are absolutely staggering. So yeah, this is the problem, is that they tried to black this stuff out with a Sharpie marker. The scanning machine went right through it when it was scanned and digitized. And now we have, basically a lot of Sony data that they really wish they didn't share. Interestingly, the other information that was shared shows that the typical profit margin for Sony when it comes to games developed by Activision is about 10%. Where does the rest of this money go? Like, is there really only a 10% markup on here? That seems pretty crazy. I'm shocked about that. The document also reveals that Sony only has one more Call of Duty game as part of its exclusive marketing deal with Activision. Quote, the last game covered by the contract is a Call of Duty title to be released in late 2023. News to me. A little surprised about that one. What Call of Duty title is coming out in the next 6 months? I couldn't recall anything offhand, and I haven't looked, but whatever, that's what it was. Around half of PS5 owners also have a Nintendo Switch. We talked about this on a previous episode. We talked about the fact that Microsoft and Sony are fighting over whether or not the Nintendo Switch is a competitor. Microsoft says that it is not. But half of PS5 owners also own a Nintendo Switch. And where was the other one? Oh, yes. The confidential Microsoft document also revealed that all of the company's Xbox acquisition targets earlier, everything that Microsoft is looking to take over as part of their Xbox empire, that entire list was publicized. Yikes. So, yeah. But anyways, that one wasn't redacted with a Sharpie. So, that's what's going on in the world of Sharpies. Do not redact your legal documents with a Sharpie. Make sure you do it in the source document and you completely remove the text. That way it cannot be revealed by a scanner. That is all I'm going to say about that. We are moving on to... There we go. This is our big topic of the night. And I wanted to get into this. The logo on screen says Ghost of Tsushima, but it's not entirely... It's not about Ghost. It is about all games with a camera mode, photo mode. I am, for those of you who have ever seen my social content or Discord content or oh my God, gaming content. Hello. I really enjoy virtual photography. It is a beautiful and creative exercise. It is a lot of fun to do. And I started to think about this because I wanted to share more of it. In fact, my last 2 streams were in Red Dead Redemption 2, and we did some virtual photography. I went through and we were looking for beautiful sites. We were talking about lighting. We were talking about focus. We were talking all these different parts. And as I went through, I thought, you know what? This is going to be on the podcast this week, so I want to do a couple of streams with it. What is photo mode worth? And as I thought about that, I hope that all of you at least appreciate, really beautiful screenshots or the machinima that is created for, videos and things like that. For a lot of it is created in a photo mode in a game. The very first photo mode goes back like probably 15 to 20 years. Like it was way, way back. And I'm going to pull some up real quick. So that is not it. Oh no, it didn't have, okay. So, sorry, I thought I found the figure for it, but it was not in the document. But when you talk about the value of photo mode, when you have a game like I play Star Citizen, we've talked about that before. In Star Citizen, one of the criticisms that it gets, in addition to being a game that will never release, in addition to being a scam, people have leveled quite a few criticisms at Star Citizen. One of the things that people criticize it for, sort of jokingly, is that it is basically Screenshot Simulator. You're not playing a real game, you're playing Screenshot Simulator because the visuals in it are so beautiful that people love to just take screenshots and not even play the game. They're just like, they're there to take space photos. So what? Is that a bad thing? I don't understand that criticism. If somebody finds an environment, digital or otherwise, if somebody finds an environment and they want to photograph it or they want to do video of it, why is that a bad thing? So what? Take your photos, share your videos. Good for you. You're creating content. You're sharing something that is visually stunning with an audience. How is that a criticism? I don't understand. But then it got me thinking about, like I said, about the sort of a bigger picture. So I like doing the virtual photography, but my question was, what is it worth? I don't mean selling photos. Like I'm not talking about NFTs. I'm asking, what is virtual photography worth to gaming. There is a huge industry around using camera mode. When you are in and taking those photos, you're sharing content of the game, not from the developers. And what I mean by that is a developer can show you something. A developer can say, these are the screenshots that we made for marketing purposes. These are the visuals that we want to show, and this is what we want to be official. This is user-generated content, which for anybody in the marketing world knows that there is a huge value to that. This is user-generated content that doesn't come from devs. It's more believable. It's more real. People find it to be more credible because they know that, John Q69 on Xbox, that guy doesn't have a vested interest in giving you some sort of mass-produced piece of crap. They found something beautiful in a game. They photographed it. They shared it. It's like, wow, so that's from a real player. Like, we don't care what the devs show us. That's from a real player. So that kind of thing, I think, has a tremendous value psychologically. But my mystery is, how much is this worth? It's one thing for a dev, because you got to remember, for a game studio to actually create this content, it takes time. You've got a highly paid developer who has to go in and take these screenshots or stage these things, do whatever they got to do in order to make this content. And yes, it is high quality content when the studio makes it. We're not disputing that. And it is typically higher quality content than what most of your game players will create. But when you have a huge community like you do with games like, the very first game was Gran Turismo 4. When GT4 created the first truly functional, controllable photo mode, and the player had control of the camera, that changed everything. Everybody was like, oh my God, people love using this tool. Let's do it. Let's empower them and build this in games. And as we all know, that has been built into dozens or hundreds of games ever since. Okay. So over the last 20 or so years, you've got hundreds of games that have followed GT4 in creating a photo mode. How many more games does it sell? How many more DLCs does it sell? How many more, cosmetics and stuff like that? How many additional, incremental dollars does photo mode sell? Does it push it onto more consoles? Does it push it onto more PCs? Does it push more revenue into the little marginal pieces, the little incremental purchases that are coming down the line? Is that because of camera mode? Do they see their favorite streamer or virtual photographer? Does somebody see that and say, oh, dude, that looks good. I want that. And then they go buy it. Because a user, a player, a gamer decided that they were going to show it off. They liked it. Who gives a shit what the studio liked? Nobody asked the game dev for permission to take a photo of that particular background or that particular outfit or that particular character. All of a sudden you can start memeing things. All of a sudden you start selling more stuff. Like, now you've got cosplayers. When you highlight that and you create the content from the user perspective, I would love to know what that actual value is. Could a Sony take a game like Ghost of Tsushima? Could they take a look at that and say, we think, based on all the content that we monitor, all the social chatter, all the things that they see, could they run a figure somehow and say, yeah, we think that user-generated content, that virtual photography, that camera mode implementation, we think that generated approximately $200 million more dollars. I don't know. Could Cloud Imperium Games, could they do that with Star Citizen? They could look at a user base and say, they've got let's say 4.5 million, 4.5 million accounts right now. Not all of whom are players. Most of them are not, but they've got these accounts that are up and running. Could they say, we've traced, or we've estimated, they probably can't trace. We've estimated that approximately 500,000 of them have come from somebody seeing a piece of user-generated content and then signing up. I don't know. I think that when you look at something like that, I think it reinforces the value of a player to a studio, not just in terms of the dollars that they spent on a game or the DLC. I think it helps reinforce the idea that what you're looking at is somebody who is part of your marketing team. You now have somebody who is so in love with your product and what you are offering them and the capability that you gave them to create content on their own without your consent, without your input, without your direction. Now all of a sudden you've got somebody who is quite literally paying you to market your game. Do studio marketing companies or marketing executives really understand that that is the value of a virtual photographer? I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to one. Maybe I'll talk to two. Maybe I'll talk to 10. But I think that for all of you who either create this content or consume this content and you like seeing what other players create in terms of, using a camera mode, if you are on that side of the discussion, then I hope you continue it. I hope that you share it, because I think that it is a vital part of our community. And I think it's also some of the most beautiful parts of the community. Typically, when you are talking about virtual photography or machinima or any of that user-generated stuff, I think that what you are looking at is some of the more wholesome parts of the industry. You're seeing the stuff that people just think is gorgeous. And they're just sharing that, and they're reveling in it, and they're praising it, and they're being non-toxic. And I think that's pretty cool. So when you see virtual photography, when you see creative people, when you see content creators going out and sharing this stuff with you, almost no matter how good or how sort of noobish it might look. By the way, I'm on the latter half of that. My stuff needs work. When you see that stuff, enjoy it, talk about it, share it, do what you can to try to praise that side of the gaming industry, because there's a lot of terrible parts to it, and that isn't it. So that's all we've got for our show tonight. We are going to be wrapping up, and I do want to let everybody know that next week we have a guest host. Next week, it will be me, and once again, bringing back my recurring guest host and friend, Mr. Jinxie. He's going to be coming back. We've got some great topics for you. We are probably going to be talking about whatever. If we get the FTC decision, we'll be talking about Microsoft and Activision. We'll see where that kind of falls out. We've got some game news for you. And then we've also got some additional content that I can't tell you about yet. So ha ha ha. So anyways, as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. If you are listening to the downloaded audio, go have yourself a good morning, a good day, a good night, whatever it is for you, and I will see you next time. See ya!